President lays out his case for action on guns in CNN's exclusive town hall, Guns in America. That's tomorrow night. But his critics are really wasting no time firing back at his plan to close the gun show loophole. Here's the House Speaker, Paul Ryan.
If you are buying and selling guns, you have to have an FFL, whether or not you do so at a gun show or anywhere else. There isn't a loophole. This is a distraction. The president clearly does not respect the Second Amendment rights for law-abiding Americans.
So let's discuss now with Igor Volsky of Think Progress. He has been tweeting about members of Congress and their relationships with the NRA. And Ben Ferguson, the host of the Ben Ferguson Show. Guys, by popular demand from the audience, you are back. So Ben, you know, you're up first. When you hear the House Speaker Ryan and other Republicans, they have made it clear that these actions are dead on arrival for them. But when politicians in the NRA, when they stoke fears that Obama is going to take away their guns, by saying this is a distraction, by saying the president has no respect for the Second Amendment, I mean, come on.
Well, here's the thing. If the president really believed in this, why did he wait until he literally said in his own words, I'm not running for re-election, so now I'm going to do it? It tells me this is not so much about anything else but a legacy and trying to say, I did this. If he really thought this was going to fix the problem, he should have done it 7 years ago.
So the problem is that he didn't do it. Hang on, Ben. Hang on. So the problem is that he didn't do it 7 years ago because it took him longer to do it, then therefore you're opposed? That's the argument you're making.
No, what I'm saying is that the fact is he obviously said, I'm going to do this now because I'm not up for re-election, so I'm going to go around Congress. I don't want to deal with you.
So he's not up for a re-election.
I'm never running again.
He's not up for election, so therefore you oppose.
No, I oppose it because he's going after our guns, which is Second Amendment right, without going through Congress.
But how is he going after your guns? He has said he's not going after your guns. He's not saying he's going to take anybody's guns.
Don, you can say that all you want to, but if you read the actual what he put in this bill or in his executive action,
Ben,
in his own
you
words,
are a smart
he is going to be taking away
guns. And I like and I respect you a lot, and you know that's not. You know the president. Do you actually believe? Honestly, hold on. Do you honestly believe, and does anybody in their right mind out there in America actually believe that the president is going to take away guns in America? It's never,
listen
ever
very
to happen.
Clearly to what I'm saying. Yes, because he put it in the executive order that there are certain people he is going to disqualify from being able to go buy a gun. That is taking away your right. I don't know why you say, oh, gosh,
if he's disqualified, he's not taking anybody's guns away. That's not coming to take your guns. You never had a gun. If you shouldn't qualify for a gun, you can't take it away.
You don't lose your right through the Second Amendment says you have the right to own a gun, and the government cannot take that right away from you. What the president said was, no.
The Second Amendment is not unlimited. It is not
I'm going to take them away.
The Second Amendment is not unlimited. Not everybody in this country can own a gun or has the capacity or the mental state to own a gun. It's not unlimited. Go ahead, Igor.
Well, what Ben isn't telling you is that this whole argument that background checks infringe on the Second Amendment right wasn't born until 1981. It's an invention. In fact, the first gun law that passed in the 1930s under Roosevelt, the head of the NRA was asked, do you think this infringes on Second Amendment rights? And the head said, we haven't even thought about that, because this is a modern invention that was created to shut down all debate about very sensible regulations, like making sure that people who shouldn't have guns shouldn't be able to buy them. And I don't know what Ben's talking about taking away guns. I read the orders.
Do you have any idea?
Checks is not the same thing as taking away guns, and you know that. Come on.
If you're an individual, if you are an individual and you go to a doctor and that doctor says that he doesn't believe you should have a gun anymore, and you lose your right to buy a gun, and you get your name turned over to the government, you're telling me that's not taking away your right to own a gun? Are you crazy?
Hey, you know, Ben, look, you would argue that mentally unstable people who should not have firearms shouldn't have firearms.
It sounds like what you're arguing,
right?
Ben. I have to be honest.
Until Obama does something about it, and then you're against it. Then it's big government.
Neither of you are listening to what people that are defending.
I'm just telling you,
Ben,
it sounds to me that you're saying,
I'm going to make it very clear.
Ben, it sounds to me,
I'm going to make it very
hold on, Ben. It sounds to me that you're saying even someone who does not have the mental capacity to own a gun, you are saying that that person should be allowed to have a gun. That's what it sounds like. Now
that is
explain your
not
point.
what I'm saying.
Okay,
and
what
you
are
guys
saying?
need to listen to
I
what
am
I'm saying.
listening
I'm going to
to
make
you.
it
Can't
very
understand
clear.
you.
I'm going to make it very, very clear. When you read what the executive order says, it says that someone in the Social Security Administration and or a doctor can decide what person they believe might be a threat. There is no set of guidelines.
What's
and
wrong
or
with that?
rules
Who's
that
going to decide
decides
it then? Shouldn't a doctor
Ben's gonna
decide?
decide.
Do you
Ben's
think?
gonna
Do you
decide.
think that a Social Security
You think a gun,
Administration
someone who
official
sells
should
a
have the
gun
right
to someone should
to
be able
take
to decide
away-
that?
Again, let me finish what I'm going to say clearly. If there are a lot of doctors that have a lot of opinions. There are a lot of people that may say for a moment right now in life, you're having a tough time. Does that mean that they're an expert on your mental state when it comes to, I'm saying if you go see a normal doctor
Okay,
and you
hey,
say you're
Ben,
struggling
Hang on,
with it,
Igor,
you
let him
ain't
finish.
right.
Igor,
Hold up,
Igor,
hold up.
Igor,
When
hold
they
on.
turn
I'm going to
it
let you.
in,
I'm going to
you're
let you
telling me
finish,
you
Igor.
trust that doctor?
Go ahead, Ben. Ben, finish your point. Go ahead. Don't interrupt him, Igor. You'll get to do it.
You have multiple doctors that give multiple opinions all the time. If you have cancer, you go get second and third and fourth opinions. The point is this: you go to the wrong doctor, and that doctor turns in your name and takes away your right to own a gun. How do you get your name off of that list? No one has been able to answer that question at the White House, and no one knows how this list is going to be managed. And if you do get better, let's say you take medication, let's say you were in depression, you lost your job, a child died, you had a tragedy in your life, and then things start to get better again. How do you get your right restored, which should have never been taken away with your Second Amendment right in the first place?
All right, stand by. Maybe at that point you may not want to own a gun because you may change your mind about it. But anyway, I'm going to let
you
Igor
shouldn't have the right
respond
to defend
on the
yourself.
other side, Ben. So Igor and Ben, stay with me. When we come right back, I want to find out whether there is anything the two of you can agree on. So the battle over guns raging in America, but is there any common ground here, especially between these guys, Igor Volsky and Ben Ferguson? So Igor, to Ben's point, should some bureaucrat somewhere be in charge of making the decision on whether or not you should have a gun? I mean, if anyone, it should be in the hands of a physician.
Yeah, these are doctors, and if there was a prescription for doing this from the government, Ben would be up in arms. But look, if you listen to this crazy hysteria that Ben, by the way, his argument got wackier in round two. It's now that there's some doctor that's out to get you, to get your guns, that's going to deny you a gun. This is exactly the kind of paranoia that the NRA and the gun industry thrives on, because the NRA collects more fees from their members, which increases their profit, and they go out and buy guns, which helps the gun industry, which is exactly what this is about. $50 million plus the NRA has gotten from the gun industry.
Normal.
That's what this is about, increasing profits for guns.
Okay,
that's
let
why
him
you're having
respond.
this debate.
Go ahead,
about
Ben.
If you want to talk about increasing profits for gun, the number one gun salesman in American history has been President Barack Obama, because every time he goes out there,
Because the
Americans
NRA
are smart
spreads
enough to
fears.
understand
Yeah,
Let him finish.
what he is
because of
going.
your
No,
rhetoric,
Igor, let him
it's
finish.
not
Because of your rhetoric.
the NRA. The NRA is not the President of the United States of America. If you want to stop having people go out and buy guns, listen to what I'm
Igor,
actually
let him
saying.
finish. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. If you think that the NRA is the problem, you're not paying attention to the reality. When President Obama, not the NRA, walks out on TV and starts talking about guns, what happens? People in America, and a lot of them are law-abiding citizens, go and get a background check and go buy weapons like crazy because they understand that the president ultimately is trying to come after their weapons.
People like you and the lawmakers the NRA sponsor
I'm not that
go
powerful.
on TV
I appreciate the compliment.
and talk about this crazy garbage about these conspiracies to deny people guns.
No one's going out and buying a gun because of what I say tonight.
You can do
I'm
better.
not
Ben, you're telling
debate
people,
about
Ben,
this.
I have to say this, all right? And you know I love you, but
He's
you're telling
scaring
people
people.
that the president wants to take their guns away, and that's not true. And so if people actually think when you come on
Don,
CNN,
have you not
let me
been
finish.
paying attention?
Will you let me finish? When you come on television and you tell people that the president, whether it is an overtly or in some sort of backhanded way, is trying to take your guns away, you are not being honest with the American people. And there are people out there who
Don.
believe you. And so, yes, in a way, he's right.
Don.
You are making people believe that the president is going to take
Don.
them. And the president is not
The
going to take
president's
your
going
guns
to
away.
come on CNN tomorrow night, and he's going to talk about the guns that he wants to not have you or I or anybody else
Man,
be able
you're
to purchase
so full
them.
of garbage.
When he has gone
Come
out
on,
on
stop
stage
this.
for the last 7 years,
Come on,
there,
can you
there
cut
are,
this
there are
out?
literally
You should
hundreds
really-
of tapes of the president of the United States of
Really?
America
Ben, let me say
talking
this.
about gun control.
You would be right if I
he's
had
the
a
one
mental
talking about gun
problem.
control.
What kind
Hold
of
on.
conversation is
Hang on,
this?
both of you guys. You would be right if I had a mental problem and if I went to a doctor and the doctor says, Don, you should not have a gun, and they told them, or I'm involuntary committed, then you're absolutely right. Then I should not own a gun. But as far as taking a gun away, no, the president is not going to take my gun away.
No,
If
he's
you
not going to
think,
take your gun
Don,
away. He's just
taking
look,
away. If I don't own a gun,
Ben, would you be quiet and let me talk for a bit here?
respond to what Don just said. Let me respond
I
to
didn't
what
say
Don
I didn't
said.
own a gun,
if I
by
go
the
to a
way.
doctor, I'm saying if I'm a person that goes to a doctor and I don't own any weapons, and
Ben,
he
this
says you're
doctor
going to be
garbage
put on a
has to
list,
stop.
listen
My
to what I'm
goodness.
saying, guys.
Yes,
take your
people
pill and chill
who are
out.
mentally unstable should not have guns.
Listen
Those
to
are the
what
people
I'm
who
saying.
go and shoot
Igor,
up schools.
let him
I mean,
talk.
my God,
Go
what
ahead.
garbage are you saying?
Okay,
All right,
can-
hang on,
That there's
Igor.
going to be a
Take your
conspiracy to
pill,
deny you a
become
gun from a
stable.
doctor,
Igor,
and it's
hold
Obama's
on.
fault?
Let him say
If
it,
there's
and then
doctors
you'll
watching
respond.
People are dying
tonight
in
and
this
you come
country
into the
because of this
doctor,
kind of
I
trash.
promise
Okay,
you're
you'll
going
get
to
to
be put on a
respond.
list.
Igor, you'll get to respond. Go ahead, Ben.
Igor, the doctor's going to take away your right to own a gun first off, okay? So chill out for a second. Good Lord.
Quickly, 'cause I only have 30
Back to what I was
seconds, Ben.
saying about your right. When you said that the president is not saying he's going to take away your gun, Don, if you go to a doctor and you don't own a weapon, and you go in, that doctor then says, you know what, I don't think you should own a gun for a while, and then you actually do down the road want to buy a gun to protect your family and your
I would
home,
go back to the
that
doctor.
is taking away your right to own
I
a
would
gun.
go back
That's
to the
taking
doctor
away
and ask
your
him
guns.
to reassess, and then I would reapply. But go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
And we don't know how that works.
Well, we would see.
That's
I would test
the whole
it.
problem.
I would test it.
The
go
new-
ahead,
the news
Igor,
You would
here
quickly.
is
test
that
it, and what if
Ben
he
wants
says, I
mentally
don't know?
unstable
Igor, let him-
people
I'll
and
give you the
felons
last
to have
word.
guns. Okay, we got it. Thanks, Ben.
Are we done? We're done
I
here?
hope a doctor doesn't take away your right to own a gun, Igor.
Wow, guys. So
I think
listen.
you'll be the first.
I want both of you to, we'll have you back tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night because the president, thank you very much, is going to join Anderson Cooper tomorrow night at 8 Eastern for an exclusive 1-hour live town hall, Guns in America, and we'll discuss, whether or not he wants to take your guns away. We'll be right back.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.